What's up, everybody? I am Young Yoko for Yoko Gaming, and today we're going over the highly anticipated, highly requested video for sensitivity on the PC for the mouse settings for Cuisine Royale. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is actually go over the controls menu and figure out exactly what the mouse is, how you use it. Is it just some little rat that eats cheese? What is it? Okay, so first you have the inverted mouse aiming. I have never used it. Some people find it helpful, and that's good for you. I think everyone kind of understands what this is. You know, the X and the Y axis, you're just flipping. Up would be down, down would be up, left would be right would be left, that whole thing. Some of these can be extremely frustrating to console players or people that are coming to PC, or just people in general who have never really paid attention to it and they want to get better at the game. So mouse aiming speed is the actual speed of the mouse, right? I would compare it to sensitivity, the word sensitivity that's used on console players. So for right now, if I put it all the way down, we click apply, I can barely move this big old thing. This is playing on 1 sensitivity, 0 sensitivity. It's just really hard to use. I definitely wouldn't recommend it in this type of game. But if that's your thing, I mean, this is what it does. And on the other hand, we can go and show it all the way blasted out, which again, I would not recommend playing on 5. But you know, if that's your thing, then go for it. Who am I to judge? We have the aiming mode sensitivity. Now this applies strictly to when you're aiming down sights. So in this game, it's kind of unique, where you can have a very fast looking system, you know, looking left and right. And I would actually argue this is the best way to do it. But just know that aiming mode sensitivity multiplier by itself only affects the aiming. That is not to be confused with first person or third person mode, which only takes effect in the first person mode like that. Or if instead of holding the ADS, if you click it and kind of hold it like that, you still have the same sensitivity that your look, not your ADS. And you can always aim back in. So there's that. Okay, moving on. We have aim acceleration. Now what this is aim acceleration determines the rate of speed that increases as you're aiming or as you're moving. So if I move my cursor to the left, the more or longer I move it to the left, the faster the mouse will pick up speed. But it's really good for snappiness. I wouldn't recommend it for beginner players because it is something that is entirely hard to manufacture and do. And you definitely need to put practice hours in this game if you want to master the sensitivity. Okay, so that's basic sensitivity, right? But let's go a step further. Okay, let's go a step further than just the game. I'm going to go ahead and make my premise for the game. Again, this game is not about peeking around corners. This game is not really about holding angles. When you have people that can fly up into the sky, go invisible, or just blink around, you need to have a snappier kind of looking sensitivity. So you need to practice on getting a somewhat relatively quick 360 that you can do. Not that you necessarily need to be able to actually hit them, but it is helpful to just be able to at least see, you know, what's going on. On the other side, I would say tone down your aiming sensitivity. It doesn't have to be by half. It doesn't even have to be by a fourth, but something that's a little bit more controllable. Okay, just because you play on 30 sensitivity there doesn't mean you have to play on 30 look sensitivity. It just makes no sense. It's just going to give you a headache. Now, going beyond that, let's talk about DPI settings. Now, one of the big things that people don't understand is that you can keep the same settings across multiple games. You just have to use a sensitivity calculator, more or less, right? But if you have your own DPI settings, then this can make things a lot easier, and it also can actually mess up your settings if you don't know what you're doing. Now myself, I have a new Lightspeed Logitech, so mine, when I change the DPI settings, will give me a little notification that I'm cycling through between 400 all the way up to 3200. Going up to 1600 and 3200, right? And my look sensitivity in the game hasn't changed at all. So you definitely need to figure out what your DPI setting is for your mouse. Now, if you can't tell, or you don't know, or maybe you have an older mouse, I have something for you. Now, like I said before, I think DPI plays a huger role in the setting of the mice than most people give it credit for. Now, on a lot of the new mouses, especially ones that you can change the DPI on the fly, you should get a notification at the bottom right of your computer monitor or whatever that should tell you a general idea of what your mouse setting is, or at least a manual that came with it, and you can just look it up. There's a lot of presets. You can also go to that manufacturer's website and probably change the presets right there. But for a lot of those, or a lot of people that just don't know, you have to go through something like the Microsoft Mouse and Keyboard Center. Now, when you're running this app, now mine right here says it is not supported just because it's the USB and it's Bluetooth, but there is a way around that. I've already looked that up. But basically, for most people, what you're going to do is download this app. If you can't find your DPI settings, that is, download this app. You're going to go into look and then sensitivity. Your mouse should pop up here and it'll tell you exactly what DPI setting that you have. All right, so you got your good settings, you've got your good DPI. What's the next step? Well, the next step in the sensitivity and really calculating your sensitivity is the type of character that you're playing. A Viper is a very snappish, fume kind of character, so she'll really benefit from somebody who can really handle being really janky in the aim, right? It's not something like Annie where someone needs to be a little bit more laser focused on their aim and really making sure they can hit their shots. Okay, so let's recap. DPI settings, know what your DPI settings are. Look through the sensitivity, understand it. Don't be afraid to go in practice mode and spend a couple hours or at least 30 minutes in there. Sometimes it's just great to warm up, and this can go across any type of game, not just Cuisine, but you definitely want to spend some time in practice mode. Don't be afraid what your friends say. Get in there. A lot of the high level tiers are just barely moving the sliders a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right until they get the laser focus that they have. And then they carry that with them forever. One thing about mouse settings is, like I said before, you can calculate it and it'll last forever. So don't be afraid to put the time in if you really want to be competitive at the highest level you can be. All right, boys, so yeah, that's it. Don't be afraid to comment down below if this helped you. I hope it did. If it didn't, please let me know why it did not, unless your name is Lat or Jim, because you're already a fucking pro. But love you guys, and stay fierce.